What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Boots, Banter, and Beyond, the stories of Irreverent Warriors, the show where stories about how humor and camaraderie have changed lives for the better. I am your host, as always, Eric Schessel. Tonight, we are joined by Ms. Rebecca from IW Huntington Beach. Welcome, my dear. How have you been doing?
Busy girl, but I'm great. I'm in good spirits. Just traveling the world.
Traveling the world. Where have you been?
No, I'm actually overseeing a work in about 5 states right now. So I'm regularly on a plane at least twice a week.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
all right. So talk to us about, all right. Then that's good because I want to know, and we want everybody else to know, what does Rebecca do outside of IW? And so you just talked
Oh,
about
goodness.
traveling for, through these 5 states and stuff. So give us a little bit of your military background and
Okay.
then dive into what you do for work outside of IW.
Okay. Well, back in the day when I was in the military, I was in the U.S. Air Force as a law enforcement specialist under security police before it became security forces.
Right.
So I actually got out. My DD 214 is dated the year that they went to security forces.
Nice.
Yeah, so I loved being a cop, but it wasn't what I was meant to do when I went into the Air Force. I was actually going in for medical, and I, like a dumbass, signed an open contract, and was
General.
yeah, and I was relegated to law enforcement. But I did a good job while I was there. I was a desk sergeant. I was a patrolman, an armorer, and part of our emergency services team. So I have no regret about my service time. I was glad to get that D 214 though. Get back to real
Well,
life.
Well,
Um,
it's funny that you mentioned the whole open general thing because when I was in boot camp, we had probably half of our squadron was people that came in open general,
oh, geez.
and they were all like, "Yeah, we all came in because recruiters were like, yeah, you be able to pick your job and all that stuff,"
That's what I
and
was
then they
told.
in right, yeah, and well, so when I had enlisted, security forces was a critically manned field.
Yeah.
And so everybody that would open general, guess what? Your ass went security forces,
Yeah.
or you went services and you were a cook, right? So
Yeah.
and it was literally you didn't have a choice. It was
Right.
you're all security forces now. So there were a lot of pissed people when I got to
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah. As you know, that's the grunt of the Air Force. So,
Yeah, yeah. I chose it though, so it's
yeah. Well, and like I said, I didn't get medical, so I got out. Had a family, worked a few different jobs, but I actually landed in my current job because of a connection to Irreverent Warriors. Believe it or
oh
not. So I am a construction safety manager, a regional construction safety manager in telecom. And I was brought kicking and screaming to this job by none other than Tiffany Ray out of Spokane, our
oh
national support coordinator up there in glorious Washington. She found out about my background, I think at the third Spokane hike that I attended, and pulled me aside and said, I didn't know what you did for work. And I was like, why do you care what I do for work? But she had been looking for a safety manager to take over a position in California and asked me to step into the role. And now I've been doing it a little over 2 years, and I am really happy I did. Really happy I did. She's great to work for, and I have thrived in my career. So,
well, good. Well,
yeah.
that's another thing you and I have in common. I'm an EHS. I'm an industrial hygienist. So I
Yeah.
work with a team, and I've been doing EHS safety for over a decade now. So yeah, so it's how are we so similar and
I
yet on the
don't,
opposite sides of the country? It's so
I
weird.
don't know, sir.
Well,
But
so right, so
so I
you are
travel.
Go
I
ahead.
travel for her. Because I'm the regional safety manager, I oversee 7 markets in 5 states. So I'm
Wow.
regularly traveling between Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, and New Mexico. Um, it's exhausting, but it's also rewarding in its own right. So
Good. Well, good. And I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, I mean, we're trying to go outside of IW to talk about like your life, but it's some of us, we're so ingrained into the connections that we've made that they help us outside of IW as well. So
absolutely,
that's cool.
I'm proof of that. I'm proof
Yeah.
of that. I have this career because of my connection to IDub, and our company, in turn, focuses on IDub as well. So Tiffany and I are regularly supporting local chapters around the western region because our company supports our participation in Irreverent Warriors. So, so it's kind of full circle.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So how did you first find out about Irreverent Warriors? Where were you in life
Well,
when that happened?
yeah. So I was in the middle of COVID when that happened.
Okay.
So in 2020, when we locked up the world, I was working in compliance, and I was still kind of traveling, but alone here and there, wherever I could that you could drive to, right? And then I found out about Irreverent Warriors on Facebook. There was the Oceanside hike of 2020, which really didn't turn out to be a hike. Um, it's what spoke to me. I was the kind of person, I'm very gregarious, I'm very outgoing, I'm very people oriented. So being working remote, being inside all the time was not good for my mental health at all. And I knew that and I recognized that. So I showed up at Oceanside, and at the time, the Oceanside restrictions were such that you had to walk in groups of, I think, 3 or 4, and we walked next to the beach for about 2.5 miles that day. And it was so separated. It was, you kind of got paired up with people you didn't know, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what I'm used to since then. Um, but it was a unique experience. We walked the beach for a couple of miles, and then we ended up at a park. And at the park, we were able to really hit that camaraderie, really kind of get to know other people, play games. I know we had cornhole, we had that hot potato game, we were dancing on the grass. So it really spoke to me, and it spoke to me so much that I turned right around and signed up for Tucson 3 weeks later. And I show up at Tucson, and Luis Vasquez, when I showed up at my second hike, threw me a radio and said, "Here, go bring up the rear." I'm like, "Okay." So, so I'm in the back, kind of helping out the leadership team, and smoking and joking with a couple of road dogs back there, and I was hooked. So to date, I have done 40 hikes over the last 5 years.
Wow.
Um, and I try to do at least one East Coast hike a year, but most of them are, Vegas and California and Washington, and I've done a couple Texas hikes. So I try to get out as much as I can, but I have to work and pay bills, so I have to stay close to home.
I don't blame you. I don't make it much out to the West Coast. I travel outside of New England for a hike for the first time when I went to Vincennes. Went to
Yeah,
her to Stacy's inaugural. So
yeah,
um,
yeah.
so yeah, so I I,
So,
I don't I don't make it out that way because it does get expensive, and 40 hikes. I I can't. Yeah, I don't. I got nothing. That's so many hikes.
yeah, I love it though. I mean, I have more friends out of state than I do in state, honestly. I have so many close connections at so many hikes that I can't even imagine not going to that hike year after year, because
Right.
that's the only time I get to see those people. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how did you become a local coordinator? What made you decide to go down that path?
Well, after Luis threw me the radio at the first hike at Tucson, I expressed interest with the current local coordinator that was running Oceanside at the time. And I think that they saw something in me at that point. So they took me to Leadership Conference in January of 21. That
Okay.
was my first conference. That was the first conference for a few leaders that are still at the helm of their cities. And yeah, the
I think that was my
YMCA
first
camp.
one
Yeah.
too.
So that was my introduction into leadership. I was the assistant coordinator for Oceanside the year after, and that was a huge one. That was where we had, I want to say, 425, and it was ridiculously big,
That's
ridiculously like,
insane.
yeah. So our trail, we were on a bike trail for part of the hike, and I believe that our element was about a quarter mile long because we had to be in 2 by. It was crazy. The amount
That
of
is
people at
crazy.
Oceanside, yeah, it was insane. After that, I went up to Downey and helped Victor Brajas, who was at the helm of IDA Los Angeles, Long Beach at the time,
Okay.
and then I took over the helm of Huntington Beach from him. So he's
Okay.
still on the team with me. He co-leads with me, but I've been running it for the last 3 years. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Very cool. So all right, so we were talking about your hike a little bit. So we're gonna bam, and then I'm gonna hit this. There we go. So now we've got the hike flyer for
Yeah,
Huntington Beach.
yeah.
So all right, so talk to us a little bit about the flyer. Talk to us about the significance of the surfboards and
And
the
how it was
buoy and all
designed.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah, so when I went to have this designed by our illustrious team at Irreverent Warriors, I told them we have to capture the vibe of our hike. The vibe of our hike is we are beachside for most of it. Um, there's often a surf competition going on the same day that we are hiking, and we regularly get applauded as we're going by, which is super cool and
Oh yeah.
completely unexpected. Um, we are hosted by Dukes of Huntington Beach, which is a Hawaiian fusion restaurant that is right there at the pier. And they, for the last two outings, have provided us with fabulous breakfast burritos. So,
Nice.
but when we designed this flyer, again, we just wanted the mellow vibe of us being beachside. We played games on the beach. We do kind of a beach Olympics type of thing, but everything that we do is coastline, and it's beautiful. Every time that we've been in Huntington Beach, we've had weather, knock on wood, at about 72 to 75 degrees every single time. It's gorgeous
That's
in
perfect weather.
November. Yeah. So we have a good time. Yeah.
Good. So, all right. So, for those of you who are watching, you guys got the. Oh, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Over there. Not. I'm not pointing at my dog. I'm pointing at the QR code that's on the flyer over there. So make sure you guys are scanning that flyer to get out there to the Huntington Beach hike. So, what's the significance of the surfboard though? Because I want to say I did some. I was looking at some of the photos on y'all's Facebook page as I was tactically acquiring your logo and everything. And I saw the Huntington Beach with the surfboards and stuff. So talk to us about the surfboards as
Uh,
outside of. I mean, you said the competition, but is that it
yeah.
or
No, no, no. So actually, Huntington Beach is dubbed Surf City. It's Surf City, USA. So
gotcha?
a lot of the biggest competitions that happen on the West Coast happen right there in Huntington Beach.
Okay,
And so that's the significance of it. It is definitely a surf community, and we respect that. going in as military, a lot of times, you would think that we might contradict, but we don't. It they are so welcoming to our tribe. So it's a really good feel.
Cool. So is and I guess the best way to describe it, because I'm East Coast, I'm from Buffalo. So would you say that the surfer community is kind of the same as like the skateboard community, where they're kind of
Yeah,
the rebel type people and stuff like that, where
yeah.
so where yeah, okay,
Most surfers are skateboarders as well.
okay,
That's how they get down to the beach, you know,
sure.
so because they don't want to park and they don't want to pay for parking at all. So, so yeah, it's definitely a similar community that skateboards and surfs.
All right. Are they, do they, now, do they, I'm just thinking of movies that I grew up with. Do they still say things like rad and tubular and all that, like out there
No, I
while
think
they're
you're
surfing and
dating
stuff?
yourself, sir.
Right. But you knew what I meant. So that's
Absolutely.
confirming.
I grew up with that community, but they have since disbanded that lingo.
So what lingo do they
But
use
like I
now?
said, everything's kind of chill. It's great vibes. People are always in positive. They have positive outlooks, which is great. Again, for our community, it's so welcoming and so open um, that it just feels like we're home there.
Cool. Good. All right. So what can you, we're gonna get rid of, I'm gonna get rid of that and bring you back. So we're coming back in zoomed. So what can you tell us about the hike this year? What can we expect? Without going into too much detail, right? Give me a
Sure.
preview. Give me the full movie.
Sure. So we always have a lot of returning hikers to this one. We have kind of a loyal community that comes back, and then we have an influx of new blood to the tribe. So um, the last 3 years we've walked kind of the same route. This year we are introducing an alternate route. We're going to be changing it up, and some of our returning hikers are going to want to head one way, and we're going another. But what they can expect is we have a couple of beach stops where we play different types of games at each one, a little bit of interbranch rivalry. Obviously, because we are in the area we're in, we have a ton of Marines, and it happens to be what? 2 days prior to the 250th Marine Corps birthday. So
Right.
we will be absolutely celebrating that. My co-lead, Victor Barajas, is a Marine. So we definitely will be focused on that part of our community and celebrating with them. But we have a couple stops on the beach. We'll do some interbranch rivalries, between tug of war and other beach Olympic games. We do have a stop at Tumbleweeds, which is a local hour kind of dive place.
Okay.
A lot of fun there, and it's a place where people can just be themselves. And then our final stop has hosted us for the last now going on 4 years. Huntington Beach Beer Company. They shut things down pretty much for us, let us take over the place, and we play music, we play a little bit of games there, and we wrap things up. Like I said, the entire hike is pretty mellow, but it also offers an opportunity for people to really get to know each other, celebrate with each other. We have a group of chiefs who show up from our U.S. Navy, who always bring their cigars and have their own little meetup or mess. They do a mess on the beach, which is always a lot of fun to participate in. So
Cool.
yeah.
So what are give us a struggle that you had putting your hike together this year?
Well, biggest struggle for me is because I live in Northern California now. I'm a 6 hour drive from my own hike. So doing recon and staying on the pulse of our community is tough. But I have
Yeah.
a really good team of people who have big hearts and who are a part of their communities. Los Angeles obviously is pretty big, and we are hiking just into Orange County. So we have a lot of challenges when it comes to trying to develop uh, events that speak to a lot of people, because it's hard for people to get around the city. It's really hard for people to get from even Long Beach to just Huntington Beach. It's only, I want to say 10 miles, and it takes more than 30 minutes to get
Oh,
there.
wow.
Yeah. So you're talking about a lot of challenges geographically for us. Um, Other than that, like I said, working with my team has been great. Everybody's involved and invested in putting on the best type of community engagement that we can, right? Um,
Good.
but yeah, that's been our challenge. We don't have to worry about a lot of permitting. We don't have to worry about any kind of cities that may not welcome us the same. Huntington Beach itself has been very welcoming to us, so we've never had an issue there.
Good. That was going to be a follow question: is how receptive is the community to the Silkies hikes and stuff like that? You know, because
Yeah,
some communities aren't as open and stuff like that, and then so they don't really know what the heck is going on. Um,
absolutely.
so it's always nice to hear that that communities are not so much maybe even rolling out the red carpet, but are very
Yeah,
accepting of our organization, what we
yeah,
run.
yeah, absolutely are.
Cool. So all right. So one of the other questions that I like to ask, because I always like getting everybody's perspective, and I knowing you, I've known you for a while now, and I think you're going to have a good answer. If you were coming across somebody in in your travels, right? So you were saying that you've been going to 5 states and stuff like that. If you were coming across a veteran who maybe they hadn't heard of IW, or they have heard about IW and haven't come out to any of our events or anything like that yet, what do you tell them? What do you say to them to get them on board and get them to come out to one of our events with the Silkies Hikes?
So luckily, I've had this opportunity many times. I wear our IDub swag maybe to the airport, or maybe I'm sitting, waiting for a vehicle or a shuttle, and somebody will ask me about it, or I'll meet a veteran and ask them if they've heard of us or if they've heard of Silky's hikes in the past. A lot of times people have, and they just don't know what they were about, so that's why they didn't get engaged. But I also know we're not for everybody, right? Sometimes people have uh, that little bit of fear of being in big groups. They might have a fear of, what if I run into somebody that I don't get along with? What if it's not my tribe, right? Those
Yeah,
those questions come up. I always tell them it's everything about the military that you miss except suck, right?
yeah,
That's what I tell
yeah,
them. I tell them, if you miss how easy it was for you to just walk around barracks or dorms or wherever you were, and just be able to walk into somebody's room and have a conversation, regardless of where they came from, who they were, you just you had to depend on each other anyway. And this is an opportunity to revisit that feeling, right?
absolutely, yeah,
A lot of people don't realize when they leave the military that they would ever want to be involved again, right? I had that feeling when I first
yeah,
got out. I wanted nothing to do with anything that was veteran related or military related. I wanted out. I wanted to be a civilian again, right? When I attended my first hikes in 2020, I can't tell you the feeling of acceptance, the feeling of I made friends so easily because people knew my struggle without me having to tell them what my struggle was.
yeah,
Even if we weren't stationed in the same place, even if we didn't deploy at the same time, we all had the same opportunity to share where we struggled. And that is what welcomes me into the environment. So I share that with people. I tell people, hey, you might not be an extrovert. You might not be the kind of person that likes to hike. I mean, it's a walk really. But
Yeah.
I tell them, hey, this is a place where you can tell your jokes and people will understand them. This is a place where you can tell your story and people will actually listen and probably relate to it. So, and you get a chance to, have the inner branch rivalry without it getting too tense, right?
Well,
So,
yeah. I don't know,
yeah.
except for the Marines. They're pretty intense about everything. You can't.
Oh, I don't know if I agree. I love my Marines. I can't tell you how many times I've been called the Marinest Air Force you'll ever meet. People always assume that I was a DI at some point, and
I
but
Yeah, that tracks.
my three uncles were Marines, and one of them regrets the day that he talked me out of being a Marine myself because I was going to sign up for the Marine Corps before I signed up for the Air Force. And he was a major working out of Camp Pendleton at that time, and he talked me out of it. So I love
Why
my
did he talk
Marine
you out of it?
because he thought that women would be treated better in the Air Force. And as it turned out, I really wasn't. So I had my own experiences where I sometimes looked back at it and said, I wish I had been somewhere else. You
That's
know,
fair. I mean, everybody's experiences, I guess, are
a
different.
little different, a little different. But again, I don't regret going in. I just, I know I would have made a phenomenal Marine too.
Right. I I'm trying to imagine you as a Marine now. I don't. I think your personality would have changed a lot more too. You would probably be a lot meaner.
Uh, Apparently you haven't seen me when I'm mad.
I haven't. In fact, no, actually, I don't know, mad, but I've had to deal with you in the past about all kinds of other stuff, and so I know that you don't take no shit. So I that's what I'm
This is
saying.
true.
So like, so if you had the not the Air Force but the Marine personality behind that, that would be a terrifying thing. I don't think I ever would have came to you for nothing. Just because I would have been too damn afraid.
Uh, I hear that, sir, and I appreciate that. So,
Well, I think that about wraps it up. Do you have any final words of wisdom for anybody that might be paying attention to what we're talking about today?
uh, if you haven't had an opportunity to visit other hikes outside of your own city, take it. Take an opportunity to sign up for something a little further away so that you can share your story and hear others in different areas. I think that sometimes we get so wrapped into our own circle that that we miss out on making friends across other places. So I would say take the opportunity to do as many hikes as you can outside of just your own neighborhood.
Boom, and there you got it. So those are some words of wisdom. So get your ass out there. Guess what? You ain't got shit else to do on a Saturday anyway. Mow the lawn on Sunday when you're recovering from the hike. Get your ass out to a hike on a Saturday and then come hang out with some amazing people and do some awesome
Yeah.
stuff. But there you have it. We want to thank Rebecca so much for coming out and spending some time with us this evening. Again, thank you for meeting. We know that you've been traveling a lot over the past little a little period of time there, but we really do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in. And be sure to share this episode far and wide so that we can reach as many veterans as possible because we are trying to save lives. Until next time, stay irreverent, my friends.